Hey everybody! After a lot of feedback, we thought it would be helpful to do a couple things. First, we have gathered all the supplemental course materials into this one lecture that you're now viewing. This should help everybody find the course downloads in a single and easy to find place. We're going to continue to experiment with this kind of thing as we go forward, but hope this helps. Second, we've decided to share, again after a lot of feedback, our own 7th Morning Requirements document template with you. We realize that your organizations probably have their own, but if not, or if you're self-employed, feel free to use this one. We're going to use the rest of this lecture to actually walk through the template and explain its various sections. So, thanks again for purchasing the course and keep the feedback coming. Okay, now let's go through the template. I'm going to show you the relevant page of the template on the screen as we talk about it, so you don't have to follow along in the document right now. One thing to know about this template is that it's actually a Microsoft Word template file. So if you open it up and then save something, your computer should automatically save it as a copy. You won't be overwriting the template. You might want to search around on your computer and find the place where Word templates are stored and just keep it there with the rest of them. But please don't ask me where that location is. I certainly have no idea. So let's start with page 1. The first page is simply a cover page. It has a bunch of parts that you're probably already familiar with, things like project name, organization, that kind of thing. I'll just call your attention to a couple of things. If you want to swap out the 7th Morning name and logo, they are in the header of the document. 7th Morning, we have no problems with your doing that at all. Similarly, down in the document footer, there is a proprietary and confidential legend. You might need to replace that with whatever your organization requires as legalese. We decided after a fair amount of consideration to not copyright this document. So you can use it in essentially any way that you deem necessary. I think that's it for this page, so let's move on. Next up is document versions. This page is important and really useful if you manage it right. Essentially, every time you publish a new version of the document to your stakeholders, again, when you publish it, you add a new row into the table. You put in a version number, 1, 2, 3, whatever. The date that you're publishing it, your name as author, and then a summary of whatever changes you've made in the document since your last version. I found it most helpful when the business analyst summarizes the change in somewhere between 5 and 10 bullet points. And they can be simple things like what I'm putting on the screen now. Added state transition diagram, added user requirements, 7, 8, and 9, added Martha Warren as stakeholder, that kind of thing. Nothing too crazy, it's just a quick summary of changes. It really helps your stakeholders to know what has changed in just a glance, and it's also sometimes helpful to you also if you want to know when a certain change was made. The next page is the table of contents. You've seen a million of these, so I won't tell you too much. The only thing I'll encourage you to do is update this table before publishing a new version. That's actually a pet peeve of mine when BAs publish a 50-page document and don't update the TOC. That essentially makes the TOC worthless, so I'll encourage you to do that. The next page, page 4, is the stakeholder list. It's pretty straightforward with the stakeholders' names, functional roles, and requirements roles. If there are approvers, there's a place to mark their approval when it comes in also. The next page is where the real work begins. The first section contains space for a project overview. In the template, we give a little advice on content, but you should delete that out before you actually type in the content. Generally, you want to keep this section under a page. The next section provides a space for assumptions and unknowns. You can think of this as a high-level to-do list. You can write your assumptions down and then test them out later. You can write your unknowns down and check them out later. But pretty much anything you put on the list here needs to be validated or resolved before you get approval on the document. The next page is for business requirements. I think I've talked about business requirements enough. Nothing too surprising here. The next page is user requirements. Same deal. The next page is functional. Can anyone guess what the next page will be? Yes, non-functional requirements. The only thing I'll mention is that on the non-functional requirements page, we have space for 3 categories of non-functional requirements. Things like performance, quality, usability, etc., etc. You'll likely have to make a number of additional tables for any other categories you write non-functional requirements for. The next 4 pages actually contain spaces for various types of diagrams and models. Pretty much anything that we discussed in the transforming part of the course can go in this section. We've included analysis and modeling cheat sheet also for you to refer to, but I'll encourage you to remove it before you actually publish your first draft. Anywhere you insert a diagram, we recommend that you add a title to it and also a description or any other commentary before the actual image, so people don't miss it. Okay, and here we have some more diagrams. Even more diagrams. That's another one. Okay, now we get to the next to last page of the template. Here we have space for user interface designs. Not all BAs create these, and if you don't, you can just remove the section. But if you do, we recommend you put a title and commentary prior to the image, just like with diagrams and models. And then the last page is for special considerations. This is not a section for requirements. This is simply kind of a postscript place where you can put guidance for the teams that are going to use the document downstream from you. If you want the testing team, for example, to be sure to test a particular use case with particular rigor, you can put that here, that kind of thing. So that's the document template. This is just the version we use. We change it quite a bit from project to project as necessary, and you should absolutely feel free to extend it or modify it to your heart's content. And we hope it provides some value to you as you're getting started in analysis.